where news comes first. This is ABC7 Extra.
Good evening, I'm Saul Saenz, and this is ABC7 Extra. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says the state should start loosening strict guidelines. The governor set up a task force of political, business, and health leaders on what steps needed to be taken to open the state's economy. Public and private schools, along with universities, will be closed for the rest of the 2019-2020 school year. Starting next Wednesday, restrictions on essential surgeries will be loosened. Tonight, I'll talk to Mayor DeMargo and El Paso's health expert, Dr. Hector Carranza, to see if El Paso is ready to open the city's economy. ABC7's Brianna Chavez breaks down the governor's orders and spoke to one health professional who agrees with some of what Governor Abbott announced Friday. Brianna reports for ABC7 Extra.
As cases in El Paso and the rest of Texas continue to rise, several restrictions are being eased to help rebuild the state's economy while still trying to keep Texans healthy.
We were anxiously waiting for that press conference so we could hear what he was, planning on doing.
Slowly reopening the state. 3 executive orders were outlined by Governor Abbott Friday in order to get the world's 10th largest economy up and running. This in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, forcing 1 million Texans to file for unemployment. Starting Wednesday, restrictions on essential surgeries will be loosened.
As long as 25% of the supplies in the hospital are still reserved for COVID, and if we use any of our PPE, that we don't have to go to the state or federal government to ask for help.
Something doctors and medical staff at a local orthopedic clinic are benefiting from.
We were doing probably less, around 50% of the amount of patients we were seeing. It was hard financially.
I have formed a statewide strike force to open Texas.
Starting Friday, all stores will be able to operate retail to go. All schools will be closed for the rest of the school year. And state parks are also set to reopen, but not in El Paso. However, with the ease of restrictions, Sides says she knows things won't go back to normal right away.
So I think steadily we'll get back on track.
Something Mayor DeMargo is also hopeful for. But
we've got to balance that with where we are from an infection rate. It's kind of like, as one person said, the president will reopen the economy, but we're the ones that are going to be rebuilding.
And for a complete look at Governor Abbott's plan to help reopen the state, just head over to our website, kvi8.com. Brianna Chavez, ABC7.
Now, joining us now is El Paso Mayor DeMargo. Also joining us is the city and county health expert, Dr. Hector Carranza. Mr. Mayor, I'll start with you first. Is the city of El Paso ready to reopen for business?
Well, we're going to reopen with the retail on Friday. The non-essential retail can now work from the curbside and delivery. That's a good start. The elective surgeries can start. That's great. I've been contacted by a number of physicians who have said there's been a lot of pent-up demand, so that's a positive. We're showing, and I'll let Dr. Carranza address the public health side. We're seeing some declines in the numbers per day. But it all depends on where we are from a health standpoint. And we'll as the governor stressed, he's going to make medical evaluations to open the state. But he also said in his own mind that he thought the end of April was the peak for Texas. But will remain to be seen. I really think we got ahead of this because when we announced our limitations and our declarations, our emergency declaration, it was before we even had our first case. We just knew they were coming. So I really think we're somewhat ahead of it, but we've got to have people practicing the social distancing and the washing of your hands, which are the 2 basic things that everybody across the world says will stop this pandemic.
Mr. Mayor, I'll take your advice and we'll go with Dr. Hector Carranza. Doctor, are we ready to reopen? What will it take for El Paso to reopen, or at least loosen some of the strict guidelines?
Well, at least to loosen some of the strict guidelines, we need to see that the number of cases start dropping or not going high every day as we have seen for several days right now. We're still seeing some of the cases going up, and unfortunately we've seen some fatalities. So that let us know that our cases are still on the rise, and we need to have our guard up. And even though we're very cautious how we look at those numbers, we definitely need to look at reopening in many different ways and points of view.
What would it take to make you feel more comfortable with the number of cases going down? We have 536, so we continue to rise. What would it take? At what point would you feel comfortable saying, okay, we can loosen some restrictions?
Well, definitely we need to see that the number of cases significantly decrease, and we need to see that there's no more fatalities. That's when we need to start thinking how we're going to be reopening. As Mayor Margo said, there are going to be some activities that are going to be allowed, especially because the governor is allowing on the rest of the state. But we, as mentioned before, we need to be cautious here in El Paso. We need to look at how the situation evolves here and definitely take into consideration all the aspects of our city.
Mr. Mayor, I understand you're also hearing from the business public, from the business side, the business sector, as to exactly what we need to recover from all this. How closely are you listening to Dr. Ocarranza before we move forward?
Well, he's in control. Public health dictates. Any public health issue is dictated by our public health department over and above whatever I want to do or can do or whatever. And it goes with the county as well. So he is primary, but we're hopeful. As I've said on numerous occasions, the fallout from this pandemic is as bad on the financial economic side as it is on the health side. And El Paso is an economy of medium and small businesses. And we've got to get this behind us as soon as possible.
Right.
People, I said the other day, the government may say we're going to reopen, but it's going to take us on the local basis to rebuild our economy.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Doctor, we'll take a quick break. You're watching ABC7 Xtra. When we come back, I'll ask the mayor and the doctor exactly what it will take to loosen restrictions and local hiking and biking trails. You're watching ABC7 Xtra, where news comes first. We'll be back.
Only your Steel dealer has the legendary tools to take on your to-do list. Real Steel. Find yours. For the space you've always wanted. Pick up the lightweight FS38 trimmer or the hard-working VG50 blower, only $139.99. Find yours at steeldealers.com.
Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso is open. We're operating responsibly and under the guidelines of all COVID-19 protocols, and we've got your back. If you buy a new Hyundai by April 30th and lose your job due to COVID-19, we'll cover your payments for up to 6 months. And right now, we have 0% APR up to 84 months on new Elantras and Tucsons, plus 0 payments for 120 days and 3 years included maintenance. This is a tough time, but Oscar Leaser's Hyundai of El Paso is here to help.
My Oscar, he's such a good boy.
Yes, a lot of things are different now, but we've got this.
And we've made some adjustments, such as shopping online 24/7 with Bravo.
We make it safe, convenient, and provide great deals on new Chevys. Buy a new Chevy from us online, and we'll include a 5-year Bravo Premium Care Package. Plus, 0 interest for 84 months and no payments for 120 days.
And complete everything at your home.
Safe, convenient, Bravo. Bravo makes the difference.
Welcome back to ABC7 Extra. Friday, Governor Greg Abbott laid out his plan to begin loosening strict guidelines put in place to help stop the spread of COVID-19.
We must put health and safety first. We must prioritize protecting our most vulnerable populations. We will be getting input from medical professionals as well as business and community leaders to determine the safe and sure way to reopen business in Texas without spurring the spread of the coronavirus.
That was Governor Greg Abbott. I also want to welcome back Mayor DeMargo and city and county health expert Dr. Hector Carranza. Mr. Mayor, I want to start with you. One of the persons who was on that task force, who was on Governor Greg Abbott's task force, is Mr. Rick Francis. Have you heard from him? Have you spoken to him about what it is that the governor expects from El Paso?
Rick and I have been talking for the last 3 days continually, including today. I've mentioned in the past I'm going to set up an economic recovery task force, and I've asked Rick to chair that for us here in El Paso. So we're putting together the members to represent a broad base across the business community throughout El Paso, and I hope to announce that by Wednesday.
Got it. We'll definitely check with you on that. Dr. Hector Carranza, one of the things, as you may well know, is a lot of folks are suffering from cabin fever. They're stuck at home. They really can't go to parks. The parks haven't opened up. Hiking trails haven't opened up. Biking trails haven't opened up. Would your recommendation be to loosen up some of the restrictions with some of those biking and hiking trails?
Well, we need to be extremely careful as how we're going to be opening the city. Definitely the hiking and biking trails are something that we're considering, but the fact that we're still seeing a lot of people gathering and not listening to the order, that makes us think twice how to reopen some parts of the city. And we do need to ask for the public responsibility in taking the order to the full extent and making sure that they're going to stay home. And that's the only way that we're going to be seeing those numbers go down. Definitely will encourage the people to walk around their neighborhood, having to use the bicycle without taking those trails or parks yet.
Doctor, we're obviously very different from the rest of the state, and so I'm going to ask you point blank. Are we moving too fast, too soon on opening up?
Well, we do need to be very cautious, and we need to do what's best for our city. We know that some cities of Texas are at different point in time in this pandemic compared to El Paso. Well, that give us a little bit of leeway to see what's going to be the best practices for the other cities, but ultimately it's going to be taking what is going to be best for us.
Do we need more testing sites or the testing sites that we have now to stay open longer? Because I do know we obviously get a lot of emails from folks. One woman in particular went to a testing site today and it was closed by the afternoon. Do we need longer hours of testing sites or do we need more testing sites?
Well, definitely the testing is one of the strategies that we can use to see when we're going to be ready to open. But as you very well know, there's different kind of testing, and the testing that we're providing, it tells us whether the virus is there on the person at this time. One of the strategies that is being considered is some other testing where we measure antibodies and see whether the people have been already exposed and are immune to the virus. That will give us valuable information, but unfortunately, we don't have that yet in the city.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, your thoughts, your opinion on biking and hiking trails and, you know, folks wanting to get out and obviously stretch their legs out a bit. Your thoughts on that?
I'd like to open up as much as we can. I understand the cabin fever and the people getting out. We had related to walking paths in our parks. They are open. The walking paths are open, not the playground equipment or anything like that. And I want to clarify on the state parks, there are 5 state parks that the governor has not opened yet. Big Bend, Waco Tanks, Franklin Mountain, and 2 others that I can't recall. But the reason that they haven't been opened yet is because in the 2 weeks prior to our stay-at-home order, We had 5 mountain rescues here on Mount Franklin. Every time there is a mountain rescue, it takes up to 40 fire rescue personnel to get that person off the mountain. We don't have the manpower during this pandemic to be spending it up there with amateur hikers who are just trying to get out and then get lost and trapped. So we've got to come up with some modicum, some medium, some middle of the road way to provide. The flat trails are fine, but those that go up into the mountains, too many times they're inexperienced and we're called on to rescue them, and we just can't afford to do that. So what the Parks and Wildlife people have said is that they want to talk to us to find out what we can do, and I'm in constant contact with Mario D'Agostino, our fire chief, about what happy medium we can come up with, which will allow us to open those parks. But the walking paths are open. We had some overly zealous parks folks who misunderstood the orders in the last couple of weeks. And I just tell your viewers, if they see a walking path that's in a park that's listed as closed, to let us know and we'll take care of that.
Okay. I do know one particular jogger who wanted to run in the Boston Marathon and wanted to train. He was out training out at one of those trails, and he was stopped by a police officer and told that obviously the park was closed. So what you're saying is that when it comes to the walking paths, the walking trails, people can go out to those, is what you're telling me. Is that correct?
That's what I'm saying. We haven't finalized the opening of the state park yet, pending what kind of agreement we can come up with on that. But the city's walking paths are open.
Okay. All right. We're going to take another quick break. You're watching ABC7 Extra. Still ahead, we want to talk to the city about furloughs and about some people taking a pay cut. We've gotten a lot of emails about that. We'll talk to the mayor about that. We'll also talk to Dr. Ocarranza to see what he believes needs to happen so that we can finally open up some of those trails. We'll be right back.
ABC7 is hard at work to bring you stories you won't see anywhere else about the borderland's response to COVID-19, like unique challenges to the deaf and blind.
This is a dangerous time for us. We need the information.
Faith in the face of restrictions, celebrating Passover during a pandemic.
Never before have we been in a situation where loved ones have been unable to gather.
An insider's perspective on conditions at an ICE migrant detention facility.
They have never given us any protection.
Important stories you won't see anywhere else.
COVID-19 has changed all our lives in ways we could barely imagine just a few weeks ago.
From sickness and death to job and income loss, changes to work and school, all our lives have been impacted.
The ABC7 News team has the same commitment it always has. We're here to inform, not alarm.
We know you count on us to go beyond the headlines and provide important information you need to make smart decisions for your family.
Your trust means everything to us at ABC7. We will get through this together.
Hi. As you know, our community is in a crisis, trying to stop the spread of COVID-19. So if you could stay home, limit your travel, whether to going to the doctors or getting groceries, and if you can use the restaurants or the curbside, carry out, or drive-through, we'd appreciate it.
Stay informed. If you have any questions, visit the Department of Health online or give us a call. Together, we can flatten the curve.
Some people think that we in the church only want your money. That's not true. We also want your blood. There's a critical shortage in our El Paso community. Finally, you have a good reason to get out of the house. Share the gift of your good health.
Give the gift of life.
ABC7 Extra. Also, welcome back to El Paso Mayor DeMargo. And also joining us is the city and county health expert, Dr. Hector Ocarranza. Mr. Mayor, I will start with you. One of the questions that we've been getting a lot from city employees, obviously after we reported the possibility that some of the employees would be taking a pay cut, starting from 5% all the way down, some of them are asking us about furloughs. Is that a consideration? They're a little concerned about being furloughed, and would they keep all of their benefits if they were furloughed?
So I can't fully address that. That's under the auspices of the city manager who oversees all of that. I will say that we are approaching between now and the balance of our fiscal year an estimate of close to 30 million in loss. Our fiscal year ends on 8/31. Our fiscal year is a 9/1 to 8/31 year, financial year. And next year we're anticipating as much as 2 to 3 times that in the way of a loss. So there are going to have to be changes and cuts and reductions. The city manager has told city council, me and city council, that they've figured out where to cut between now and the end of the year, into the fiscal year. But what's on the table for the future and where we are, we've talked about the fact that our airport traffic is down to 5%. We've got losses everywhere around. We have still basic services that must be maintained, and we're going to look at everything that's on the table. But it's up to the city manager and the CFO to determine what is best in conjunction with all of our employees. We have some of the finest employees anywhere. There is nothing we would prefer not than no furloughs, no reductions, no anything. But we're going to have to look at everything given the economic conditions that we're operating under because of this. What amounted to this is our economy was frozen, has been frozen for the last 4 or 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And the sooner we can get back to an attempt to rebuild, I'm not sure we're going to have a normal per se, but that's the reason I'm putting this task force together. The sooner we can figure out what it's going to take to get El Paso back up, we're going to have to do it.
Are the pay cuts? I want to ask you, Mr. Mayor, are the pay cuts set in stone, or is that something that you and council have to approve?
Well, we have to approve the budget, but it's up to the city manager to determine what the strategies are to meet our financial obligations. I mean, everyone is when you look at the number of businesses that I talked about, you recall I said that in the month of March there was, according to Workforce, there's 8,396 unemployment applications filed by El Pasoans, and quite candidly, so I think we're going to have more in April because that's only 2 weeks of the shutdown. Yeah. So, we've got some serious issues here. The sooner we can, under Dr. Ocaranza's leadership, assume that we put a stop to the spread of this COVID-19 virus, and our health system is in good shape with hospital rooms and capacity for ICU and respirators and all of that, then we can start truly rebuilding our economy.
Dr. Ocaranza, it's a sad state of affairs, but it's a reality where we have to also not only look at vital signs, but we have to look at dollar signs, and that's exactly what the mayor just explained that the city's going through right now. At what point do you feel comfortable? First of all, let me ask you, how many have recovered from COVID-19 here in El Paso?
Well, fortunately, we have plenty of people that have recovered from COVID-19, and sadly, we do need to keep a number of patients that are newly diagnosed and the fatalities. So opening up the city is a team effort. It is public health, economists, with also the leadership of Mayor Margo, County Judge Samaniego. So it's going to be a big group of people putting all their effort, all their expertise in having the city open up and moving forward. It's going to be a slow process, trying to evaluate every step that we take. And as we move forward, we need to see how the virus can affect us if we start opening too soon.
If I may, Doctor, if I may, at what point in time, how many recoveries or what percentage of recoveries do you need to see? What sort of flattening of the curve do you need to see before you feel more comfortable opening parts of the economy up here in El Paso? What do you have to see?
Well, the flattening of the curve, we need to see as far as the new cases that we have, that we start slowing down on the new cases, and also a slowdown on the deaths. So those are the main indicators that we need to take a closer look and determine when is the right time to start doing this process.
If I can ask you, what are your projections, since you work with other health experts, what are your projections so far as to when you believe we will start seeing a flattening of the curve?
Well, unfortunately, since we don't have a previous experience with this kind of pandemic, we need to be very carefully observing either other cities, other indicators, but so far what we need to keep is a day-to-day observation as how the situation evolves here in El Paso.
Mr. Mayor, I'll let you have the last word. Your thoughts?
I want to open our community, our economy up as fast as we can. It's going to take Dr. Ocarranza. It's going to take people continuing to follow along the social distancing limitations that we've talked about, not congregating in large groups, which we're still getting reports on. Part of what we'll look at is how many 311 reports we are for people in violation. Also, I'll say that I believe every essential business should have every employee with a mask covering themselves in those essential businesses. We've left it as we've encouraged it in our declaration, but it really ought to be mandated. It really ought to be mandated. It also provides comfort for people who come in and shop it. And I understand Walmart and Sam's have already determined that they will mandate everyone wearing a mask. You know, this isn't behind us yet, in spite of the fact that we would like it to be. But where we are and how quickly we can move ahead is really up to each of us in our own behavior.
Okay, Dr. Carranza, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. And I also want to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. We're trying to get you as many answers as possible because we know what you're going through right now. Continue calling us. We'll try to get you some answers. Thank you for joining us. I'm Saul Saenz, and this has been ABC7 Extra. Good night y buenas noches.
We're here to help. These are unparalleled times, and Crawford Buick GMC is taking unparalleled steps to help you and your family get through them.
Click on CrawfordBuickGMC.com and find out how you can defer your car payments for 4 months. That's 4 months at the airport location, Montana at Airway.
Let's go.
Our drive-thru is still open, 24/7 as usual. And now, when you order online between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., we'll walk it right out to your car. Just because we can't be close doesn't mean we can't